Jai Jagannath. Hello friends, today we'll discuss the second part about the glories of Lord Jagannath. This is about Srila Madhava story. Origin of Rath Yatra, the appearance of Lord Jagannath as narrated by Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. The first history of the appearance of Lord Jagannath is given in the Skanda Purana as well as in Padma Purana, the Purushottama Mahatmya and the Diary of Jagannath. The particular version presented here is from the Skanda Purana and the Purushottama Mahatmya. There are minor differences in versions from other scriptures, but the history is basically the same. In Satyayuga, there lived a king named Indradimna Maharaj and his wife was Gundicha. That king reigned in the beginning of the first half of Lord Brahma's day, when Brahma first created the material world by the mercy of Krishna and with the help of Mahamaya. He lived in the middle India in the ancient city of Avantinagari in Ujjain, where Krishna was taught by Sandipani Muni. He and his queen were very religious and advanced devotees, and although they were royalty, they were always engaged in the service of Bhagavan. That king wanted to see the supreme personality of Godhead with his own eyes, and he continually waited for an opportunity. He always prayed, when will a day come that I will see my Lord? The king used to receive and host travelers from the various holy places of the world, especially those in India, in the compound of his palace. One day, some pilgrims came and spent the night over there. They had just come from a very high class of holy place, Tirtha, and had taken darshan of beautiful 400 Nilamadhava. Now they discussed among themselves the glories of that deity. A Brahman devotee overheard their conversation and informed the king's minister about it. And he in turn informed the king and made him aware about this deity's beauty. He told the king, anyone who receives Nilamadhava's darshan will not have to return to this world and will be liberated forever. He will attain a 400 form and become an associate of Narayana in Vaikuntha. Even if someone simply vows, I will go to his temple to see him tomorrow, but dies that day without reaching the temple, he will still go to Vaikuntha and attain a 400 form. The king then wondered, how can I obtain the darshan of Nilamadhav? Where is he located? He wanted to ask the pilgrims, where can I find him? But they had departed during that night. So he became upset and decided to somehow search for the deity. He called Vidyapati, a very intelligent son of his priest, as well as his officials and commanders, and ordered them all to search in different directions. Some of you go to the east, others to the west, others to south, and so on. You should all return within 3 months. I will give you vast wealth and an important position to one who informs me the deities wherever. In this way, all the officials enthusiastically set out in all directions from Madhya Pradesh. Vidyapati, who was very young and handsome and who possessed all good qualities, went towards the east. After 3 months, they had all returned except Vidyapati, and the king was worried because no one knew where he was. Vidyapati had gone to the east coast of India, near the Indian Ocean, specifically the Bay of Bengal, and there he travelled continually, searching and searching for Nilamadhav. One day, on the shore of the ocean, he saw a very beautiful village where there was a mountain covered with flowers and trees, and where the residents were very cultured. Evening was approaching and he decided to stay in that village. So he told some of the residents, I would like to rest here tonight. They replied, Bisausu is the prominent leader of this village. He is a Sabaro, a lower caste, but he is very qualified and religious minded, and he is also intelligent and humble and liberal. Whenever any traveler or guest comes, he visits Biswavasu's house, so you must go there. When Vidyapati arrived, Biswavasu was not at home. Only his very beautiful 16-year-old daughter Lalita was there. She opened the door and said, You can wait for my father because he is not here. He has gone out. But when he returned home, he will arrange everything. Kindly wait outside. After some time, Biswavasu arrived. Very sweet fragrance emanated from his body, and he was wearing very beautiful and aromatic tilak. When he saw his guest, he became ashamed and told him, Oh, excuse me for returning so late. Now you may come in. He and his daughter took their guest inside. Very happy to see that beautiful personality, Biswavasu told him, You can reside here for some days. Then he told to his daughter, Take care of his Brahmana, give him food and everything else he requires, and look after him in all respects. There should be no lack of anything. Vidyapati took his meal and rested there. He smelled a very beautiful fragrance in the house, especially when the master of the house was at home. And he wondered, where does that beautiful fragrance come from? I have never smelled anything like it in my entire life. And that girl is so beautiful. I should wait here for few more days, and it may be that I can find Nilamadhav. He then began searching here and there for some days. Lalita was now regularly serving him, and gradually she became attached to him. Vidyapati began to develop a close friendship with her, and after some time, he fell in love with her. He was already married to someone else, but still he had great affection for Lalita. So he requested her to ask her father to allow him to marry her. She asked her father, he agreed. Vidyavati became Viswavasu's son-in-law. Viswavasu went out regularly every day and returned in the evening very fresh and fragrant. One day Vidyavati privately said to his wife, My dear, now you are my wife and I have great faith in you. Can you tell me where your father goes every day for worship and where that fragrance comes from? Please tell me. Lalita replied, I cannot say. My father ordered me. Do not tell anyone where I go. Keep it secret, very, very secret. Vidyapati said, You cannot tell me. You are one with me, non different from me. You must tell me because I am your husband. She replied, Then you must promise me that you will never tell anyone. Vidyapati then said, A wife should not speak like that. I know you are a very chaste wife, so you must tell me. He then becomes silent. Lalita said, I will tell you. He goes to worship a deity. Which deity? Vidyapati asked. She replied, I promise not to tell, but I will tell you because you are my husband. He goes to worship Nilamadhava. Vidyapati became very happy and thought, after such a long time, I have finally heard the name of Nilamadhava. Nilamadhava must be somewhere nearby. He began to show so much love and affection to his wife that she revealed everything to him. And he then requested her, Please ask your father to take his son-in-law with him. She said, Yes, I will help you. After her father returned from worship in the evening and had taken prasad, Lalita approached him and sat on his lap. With much love and affection, she told him, My dear father, I want one benediction from you. He replied, "Oh, very good. I desire to give you a benediction. What do you want?" She told him, "I want something very special. I know that you will be hesitant to give this to me, but I want it." Her father asked, "What do you want?" She replied, "Oh, father, I desire that you take my husband with you to see Nila Madhava. He wants to take darshan." Vishwavasu wondered whether or not to take him, worried that if he brought anyone with the diet might be taken or simply vanish. Vishwavasu was hesitant. When Lalita saw that he was not very willing, she said, "If you do not Sunila Madhava to my husband, I will take poison and die right in front of you. Your objection means that you do not consider me your loving daughter." And she prepared herself to take poison. Those are the most powerful weapons of ladies. I will die, I will take poison, I will commit suicide. What will a husband or father can say about that? Of course, he will say, "Oh, you can have whatever you can want." Vishwavasu was now in a dilemma and thought, "What shall I do? I must save my only daughter. I must give her this benediction." He said, "I don't want you to die. I will take your husband with me and show him Nila Madhava. But there is one condition. I will tightly bind his eyes with a black cloth, and when we reach there, I will remove it so that he can take darshan. After that, I will put on the blindfold again, so he will have darshan, but he will not know where he is." Lalita then went to her husband and told him, "Father has agreed to take you. He will blindfold you during the journey there, but never mind." Vidyapati was overjoyed and agreed to wear the blindfold. After that, she told her father, "Yes, you can bind his eyes with a black cloth." Later, when they were seated on the bullock cart, Vishwavasu placed the black cloth over Vidyapati's eyes. Lalita, being very clever and intelligent, gave her husband some mustard seeds and said, "Keep this in your pocket. Now it is the rainy season. You can drop them one after another along the way. After some time, those mustard seeds will grow into plants producing bright yellow flowers. Then you will be follow the flowers and go there by yourself. You will not have to ask my father about the way." Vishwavasu then took Vidyapati with him along a zigzag route on the bullock cart. Vidyapati dropped the mustard seeds one by one on the ground without his father-in-law knowing. When they arrived at the foot of the mountain, they left the bullock cart over there, and Vishwavasu took Vidyapati by the hand and led him to the temple of Nilamadhava on the top of the mountain. When they entered the temple, Vishwavasu removed the blindfold so that Vidyapati could see Nilamadhava. The deity was four-handed and he carried the Sankh, Kanch, Chakra disc, Gada, club, and Padma, lotus flower. He was very beautiful, but unlike Nandanandan Krishna, he had no fruit, no peacock feather. He was more like Narayana. Narayana is very beautiful, but Krishna is most beautiful of all. Vidyapati became very happy and began to cry, thinking, "I have been searching for him for such a long time, so many months, and now I am satisfied, and my life is now successful." Vishwasu then told him, "Wait here a while. I am going to the forest to bring some flowers to worship him. Then I will offer chandan and other articles, perform archana, and then we will return home." Then Vishwavasu returned with many flowers and said to Vidyapati, "Oh, come join me." Vishwavasu prepared chandana and other ingredients, and throughout the whole day he performed and worship, offered prayers, and engaged in many other devotional activities. All the residents of that village were known as Daitas, which means those who are very near and dear to Krishna. Vishwavasu was known as Daitapati, the master of all those who are near and dear. He served in this way, although he was a Sabara. He was fully surrendered and always called out Nilamadha. Now Vidyapati was also very much charmed with the glory of deity, and seeing the worship of Nilamadha performed by his father-in-law, he became overjoyed. When Vishwavasu had completed his services, he again covered Vidyapati's eye with the blindfold and they departed. After some hours, traveling again in that zigzag way, they reached their home. Then Vishwavasu heard Nilamadhava telling him, "You have served me for a long time. Now I want to take the royal service of a very high class of devotee named Indradumna Maharaj. Don't be afraid and don't worry." Vishwavasu, however, immediately became upset and thought, "Oh, Thakurji will go to Maharaj Indradumna. I cannot bear the thought of separation. This boy will return and tell the king, and the king will come and take Nilamadhava." He then practically arrested Vidyapati and imprisoned him within one of the rooms of his house. Vidyapati could not go anywhere, so he told his wife, "Please help me. I want to return to Madhya Pradesh very soon. I have promised my king, who wants to come with his whole family to serve Nilamadhava. Please help me. You are my wife, my other half." Lalita agreed and said, "You can go. I will help you." She then told her father, "If you do not release him from this jail, I will commit suicide at once." She was ready to commit suicide, so her father's heart melted in compassion and he released Vidyapati. Now free, Vidyapati assured his wife, "I will return very soon. Do not worry." He then quickly left and proceeded towards Indradyumna's kingdom. He worked continuously until he finally arrived back in Avanti Nagari. He had been gone for over 6 months, and King Indradyumna became very happy when he heard from Vidyapati, "I have discovered Nilamadhava. Please come with me." The king decided, "I shall go with my entire kingdom, my wealth, my wife, my soldiers, and commanders." He wanted to bring Nilamadhava to his kingdom to worship him for the rest of his life. Proceeding from Ujjain, he reached the place about 100 miles south of Puri. But when he reached there were no mustard seed flowers. There was also no hill and no village. For by the desire of Nilamadhava, the entire village was covered with over 100 feet of sand. Everything was covered, including the hill. The Nilamadhava was not there. The king began to cry. He sat down on a straw mat facing the ocean and decided, "I will not take anything to eat until I have darshan of Nilamadhava. If I do not see him, I will die. I came with my whole kingdom, all my wealth, my wife, my family, but I did not get the darshan of Lord. Oh, I must give up my life." Then as he began to chant, "Nilamadhava, Nilamadhava, Nilamadhava," remembering the Lord, an aerial voice called to him, "I will not come, but do not worry. I will not come here to give you darshan, but you will be able to see me. I am sending Lord Brahma. You should come with Brahma to Vaikuntha, and there you can take my darshan. In this world, I will not give you darshan in the shape of Nilamadhava, but I will manifest in four forms: Sri Jagannath, Baladeva, Subhadra and Sudarshan Chakra. Quite near the sea where Banki Mohana is located, this place is presently known as Chakratirtha, and it is by the part of the ocean known as Bay of Bengal where the water moves towards West Bengal. Go there and wait, and Daru Brahma, Bhagavan in the form of wood, will come. He will manifest in the form of a very large, fragrant reddish love, and the signs of Sankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma will be seen everywhere on the earth. Go there, take me out, and make four deities from that love. Then you will be able to worship me. Brahma quickly came and took the king with him to Vaikuntha, where he could freely gaze at Nilamadava. As he conversed with his associates, the king became even more attached and began to cry. And then Brahma told him, "Let us go. He will not come to earth in this form, but he will come as four forms. Let us now go to the place that he has designated and wait for him there." In the meantime, while the king was gone, many years had passed, and the entire world has now changed. Before going, he had constructed a very large and beautiful high temple, but now it was also covered by sand. The sand had been removed many times, but the temple had become old and deteriorated. A new king had come and repaired it, and he had declared, "I am the builder of this temple." Now that King Indradyumna returned, he told the new king, "This is not yours. I have built it, so I am the owner of this temple. You have only made repairs." There was a crow named Kakavasundi who had been witnessed to the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra and also King Indradyumna's building the temple. And now he testified on the king's behalf. Brahma also came forward and agreed, "This king has built the temple. You have only repaired it." In this way, King Indradyumna again became the master. Somehow, by Krishna's mercy, the king's wife was there. He had no child at all, so there was only he and his wife. The king and his new associates and army waited for the deity. At last, he saw the red tree trunk marked everywhere with Sankha, Chakra, Gada and Padma. He approached that particular trunk with his soldiers and elephants, and they tried very hard to take it out from the water. But they could not do so. Many elephants and strong men, even his entire army, could not take that tree trunk out of the water. The aerial voice came again and told the king, "Bring my old servant Daitapati Viswavasu and his daughter as well. Viswavasu will carry me from one side, and the Brahmana Vidyapati will take me from the other side, and bring a golden chariot for me. I will come out easily, and then you can arrange everything." By the power and will of Nilamadava, Viswavasu, Lalita, and Vidyapati were still alive, and now they were brought on a chariot with honor. The king requested the three of them to enter the waters of the ocean and leave the log. Vidyapati and his wife and his father-in-law then began to lift and simultaneously pray to the Lord, "Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Nilamadava, Nilamadava. Oh please, please be merciful, come upon our chariot." The log came out very easily, and it was brought on the golden chariot to the place near to where the Lord Jagannath temple is now situated. The king kept the log there in a big hall, and he invited all the carpenters of Odisha telling them, I will give you vast wealth if you can make the Vigraha. Very famous carpenters came there wanting to make the deity, but their instruments and tools were broken as soon as they touched the iron hard log. An old but beautiful Brahmana then came forward. He had brought some tools and he told them, my name is Maharana. I am very expert and I can make you the Vigraha. The Brahmana was actually Nilamadhav or Jagannath himself in the form of an old Brahmana. He continued, I will complete the Vigraha in 21 days, but you must promise that the door of this hall will remain closed. I will alone with my tools, and after 21 days I will open the door so that you can see the deity. At that time you can take him into the temple and serve and worship him. The king replied, yes, I will obey your instruction. I will not open the door. The Brahmana went inside with his tools and locked the door from inside. For 14 days there was no sound, and Indradumna Maharaj became very worried. He thought, what can be the matter? The Brahmana has not taken a drop of water or anything to eat the entire time. Perhaps he is dead. His prime minister then told him, do not open the door. There is some mystery behind this. Only open it after 21 days, not before. However, his wife pleased him with him. If you do not open the door now, the Brahmana may die and we will be guilty of Brahmana Hatya, the sin of killing a Brahmana. We must open the door. Please hurry, the king replied. The Brahmana told me not to open it before 21 days have elapsed. How can I open it? She then requested again and again, and finally the king called for his carpenters to cut away the locks. He opened the door forcibly and entered. Inside the hall, the king was struck with wonder, for he could not see the Brahmana. Where is the Brahmana? He asked. The four deities, Jagannatha, Baladeva, Subhadra, and Sudarshan Chakra, were there. But they had not been fully completed. Their eyes and nose were only round shapes. Their arms were not full length. Their hands and feet were not completed. Nothing was completed. The king began to cry. Opening up his heart to the prime minister, he said, I have committed an offense by breaking my promise. Now what shall I do? Crying, he again wanted to commit suicide. At that time, the king and his associates knew that he was not simply a Brahman carpenter. He was Krishna himself. They began to sorrow in separation. Then Lord Jagannath told, please carry out my orders. Vishwavasu and his son-in-law Vidyapati will worship me along with Vidyapati's two wives. The son of Vidyapati's Brahman wife will take turns to worship Thakurji, and the son of his Sabar wife will cook many varieties of preparation. Many Daitas in the dynasty of Vishwavasu will serve me for 10 days during Rath Yatra festival. Only they will worship me at that time. No one else will perform the worship. They alone will take Baladeva, Subhadra and me on the chariots. They will bring us to Gundicha Mandir, make a festival for 10 days beginning from today, and take the chariot to the Gundicha Mandir. It was due to the request of Queen Gundicha that the event of these pastimes unfolded as they did, which is why the mandir was named after her. Thakurji continued, we will remain there for those days and then you may take us back. You should perform many festivals like Snanayatra, Chandanayatra, Hera Panchami, and so on. During Chandanayatra, Jagannath's entire body is covered with chandana for many days. At that time, the Vijay deity known as Govinda is placed on a very beautiful boat in Narendra Sarovar and his boat pastime takes place. Then during Snana Yatra, the deity receives abhishek from thousands of pitchers of water brought from all holy places in India, and his bath is so long that he becomes sick. At that time, Devi Lakshmi takes him to her palace and closes the door for 15 days. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not survive without the deity, and therefore he went to Alannath and cried, "Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna?" He became mad, so much so that he tossed the stones at Alannath and then it was melted. Only the Daitas, the families of Vishwavasu Savara, can serve Jagannatha at the time of Rath Yatra. Actually, there are two kinds of servants. One is coming from the dynasty of Vidyapati's original Brahman wife, and these devotees do Archana and Seva. Those who descended from Lalita are called Supakar, excellent cooks, because Jagannatha has accepted them as his cooks even though they are of low class birth. Then the king prayed, "O Thakurji, I want a boon so that I may serve you." Thakurji replied, "What boon do you want?" The king said, "I desire that there should be neither sons nor daughters in my dynasty. I do not want any children. I know you will grant me that desire." Thakurji smiled and asked, "Why don't you want any children?" The king replied, "After I die, they will quarrel over money and they will have no interest in serving you. So much money will come for your service and they will think this property is mine or Jagannatha is my property. I don't want any of my family members to think this temple is mine, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra are my property, and that all money coming as donations is therefore is mine so that I can enjoy. If they think in that way, they will use everything for their own self gratification and go to hell." Upon hearing king's word, Lord Jagannath began to smile, and thus Rathatra festival began. There are so many relevant teachings found in this history. This is Gunica Temple. Jai Jagannath.